Hey, what's up everybody? Thanks for joining me here on our new YouTube channel. I'm Rian Lockhart, head witch over here at Moonstone Witchery. And today our second video is called Empath 101. And for Empath 101, what I'm really going to be focusing on is what is an empath, how do you know if you are an empath, and what to do about being an empath. The reason I decided to go with this as my second video is because being an empath and being a witch are kind of closely linked to each other. I find that a lot of empaths are really drawn to the path of magic or the path of spirituality and witchcraft. And I know that almost all witches have some form of being an empath within them. And so I thought that I would spend a little time discussing that with everybody here today. I also get asked questions about what does it mean to be an empath really often. So I feel like this could be a helpful tool for everybody. So let's just dive in and get started. So what is an empath? Being an empath means that you are able to feel the feelings or feel the energy of people, places, and things. Now I included places and things in there because very often people don't realize that you can be an empath for places and for things. They think that being an empath is just simply about what kind of energy you're picking up from people, but this extends to everything. Being an empath is kind of a full body, lifelong experience. You might hear or see my cats in this video. Like every witch, I've got a bunch of cats walking around, so just kindly ignore them if they show up. Okay, so what do I mean by places and things? What I mean is that when you go into a place, if you can feel the energy of that space, what's happening to you is that you're picking up on all of the stored up energy imprints that have been left there from the people and experiences that have happened there before. Same thing with objects and with people. When you're an empath, you're able to feel the feelings of everybody around you. And a good example of this, a good little test within yourself to figure out, well, am I an empath? Do I qualify as being able to feel everybody's feelings or feel the energy emanating from people? Is for you to say this to yourself. If you were to enter a room and there was another person in there and they were sitting there and they clearly were kind of in a bad mood or in a lower vibrational, darker space within themselves, would you be able to feel that or be aware of that without them having to say anything to you? If your answer is yes, then you're definitely an empath. The point of this little mini mind quiz is to get you to understand that you don't need communication from somebody else to understand what it is that's going on within them. You're able to sort of just feel it. You're able to sort of just be around somebody and to know exactly what is going on within them. This especially comes up when someone's in a negative mood or a lower vibrational mood, but it can also happen when someone's in a really positive mood as well. You're able to just kind of feel what's happening around you. Now, a lot of us are conditioned in our culture or whatever to second guess ourselves with that information that we receive. And my job is always to empower you to not second guess yourself. My job, my platform is always to say, well, what if you're right? What if you are picking up on something? What if you are aware of the energies emanating from somebody else? What do you want to do with that? But we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. The way that this works is that everyone is emitting an energy. Everyone is emitting an emotional vibration at all times. And so I had someone ask me, well, how does it work to be an empath, or why does it happen? As to the why, I have a lot of theories on why I think people are empaths. There's a few studies that have been done about this, but honestly there haven't been enough studies done because science is still trying to catch up with spirituality. But how does it work is that some people are just really finely tuned to receive the energy around them. Some people are just born this way where they are able to be highly aware and highly attuned to everything that's going on around them. And those people, the word for them is empath. It's just that you can feel what you're immersed in. I mean, we're all sitting here in like an energy pool at all times. And I always find it interesting that nobody seems to be talking about that, which is why I'm talking about it right now. But it's like, what is going on around you? What are all the energies swirling about? What do they mean? What are they doing? How do I receive them? All of these things are the questions that an empath carries with them. And so the first thing I want to do is validate for you that, yeah, it's a real thing. A lot of times people who are empaths haven't been validated their whole life for this. They've been told they're too sensitive, they're too much, just like, you know, grow up, shut it down, knock it off, all of these things. And I want to say it's okay to be highly sensitive. Not only is it okay, but it's actually an asset and a gift. It's not always going to feel like a gift to you, which is why later in this video I'm going to talk to you about how to protect yourself and monitor your energy field. But overall, it is a gift. To be able to be in a space with someone and to understand what they're feeling and how they're feeling it and what's going on within them without them having to say anything to you is an immense gift. It becomes a problem for you when you don't know how to mitigate and manage that energy. Like all things, there's duality. So the gift of being an empath definitely has its downsides as well. But through this video and through your own practice with yourself, you're going to be able to learn to find balance, which is definitely something that most empaths struggle with. An empath is someone who generally can feel very overwhelmed by the world, because just being out amongst crowds, amongst people, amongst places, it can be like you're being bombarded or you're being inundated by so much energy information that it's almost like you just can't. A lot of times empaths are people who will maybe go out into crowds or go out into new experiences or go out into classes, but then they need some decompression time. If you find that you are drawn to groups or drawn to new experiences or drawn to new people, but then you really need a break, you might be an empath. That's definitely a part of it, because the break is your body's way of saying, oh my gosh, I have to process this. I have to just like decompress. I have to just sort of relinquish all the energy I've absorbed, and I have to like get it out of my system. And then once you're cleansed and you're back to neutral or you're back to a state of equilibrium, out you want to go again. And the cycle might repeat. Now, if this is a difficult way for you to live, I'm going to teach you kind of how to balance that a little bit. I also wanted to talk about being an empath for objects, because when you're an empath for objects, you can pick up, now crystals always have their own energy field, so this is sort of a difficult demonstration, but you can pick up an object and that object is going to feel like something to you. You can practice this with crystals, and I highly recommend that you do practice this with crystals, and I know I will make a video in the future about crystals and how to feel their energy and sort of speak to and connect with them. But for right now, what I mean is that crystals are going to emanate a very specific energy field that you can feel through your hands or through your just like auric field in general, the same way that you would as an empath through feeling the energy radiating from a person. All objects are going to have a specific energy field that they are radiating. If you have somebody's jewelry, for example, you can connect to that person through the energy that was in their jewelry. This can go either way, good or bad. So if you have objects in your home that belong to somebody else and they have acquired all that energy over those years, you might be bringing in all that energy into your space, and you might find that the energy of your space changes based on the objects that you introduced. You're not crazy, you're just highly sensitive. Being highly sensitive is not a bad thing. A lot of us might have had parents that told us you're too sensitive, you're too much, you're overbearing, you're overdramatic, whatever. And I want to say, no, you're not. You just didn't have people around you that understood what you were going through and what to do about it. And so this is why we cleanse the energy of objects when we acquire them. And a lot of people want to do that, but maybe find that they don't make the time to do it. And I want to encourage you, if you've brought something into your home, just have awareness around the energy that it brings into your home. Play a game with yourself and figure out, how has this object or item shifted the energy of my space, my bedroom, my kitchen, wherever you might have put it. Same thing with anything you wear. If you buy secondhand clothes, which I love to do, you're acquiring the energy of the person who owned it beforehand. Same thing with jewelry, etc. So I want you to just have awareness about this fact, and then what you do about it is your choice, whether you choose to cleanse the energy of it or whether you choose to incorporate the energy of the object or the item into your life. Places have a lot of energy too. So if you've ever been to like a site that was kind of historical or had like maybe a famous battle or something like that happen at it, you might find that the energy of that place feels heavy or difficult for you. I tell this story sometimes. I was doing a workshop in Seattle for some clients who flew me out, And this woman took me to try to take me into this one coffee shop that I guess was famous. And I couldn't cross the threshold of the door of the coffee shop. I wouldn't go in. I was like, oh, yuck, I literally can't go into that room. I'm so sorry. I know you wanted me to take me here. I cannot enter this building. And then we kept walking, and she goes, well, that's interesting because that's the most haunted restaurant in this entire city. And I wanted to see what would happen when I brought you there. So because of my boundaries and because of what energy field I have around me and because of the rules I have set with my guides, all of which I can teach you guys in future videos, I was like, all of my alarm bells went off at the threshold of this place and I wouldn't go into it. That's what being an empath for places is like. Now that's an extreme level because I'm highly aware of what's going on in my own personal energy field around me, but you can get there too. The first step is for you to just understand, oh, I am an empath. Take ownership of the word empath. Claim it. Own it. See how your world shifts if you're able to say, yes, these things apply to me. I do feel the energy emanating from people. I am aware of what's going on with someone if they're sitting next to me. I am aware of how certain places feel different than others. I am aware of how certain objects affect me over others. Once you are aware of it, once you claim it, you can work with it. The biggest way that being an empath shows up for everybody in day-to-day life, though, is not so much with the places and objects, but more with your interaction with people. If you are in a relationship and maybe something's wrong with your partner, they're upset about something, or they're feeling an emotion that's negative, but they're not talking to you about it, you will know you're an empath if you are like, I am super aware of the fact that you are going through something right now. What is it? How do you want to resolve it? Can we talk about it? What's going on with you? When you're an empath, it's radiating from a person at you. They might not even be aware that they are doing it. I was in a relationship with someone once who was absolutely not an empath. So I want you to understand, by the way, that not everybody is like this. Not everybody on this planet has these capabilities. So that serves two purposes. One, it allows you to know, like, you do have a gift, and therefore it's not your job, but it's almost your responsibility to figure out how to work with your gift and how to exist in the world as yourself with this gift. But two, others don't have this. So if you're walking around expecting other people to be able to know and understand what your mood is just because you're having it like loudly, try to check yourself, because it's not other people's jobs to automatically know what you're feeling inside. They might not even be able to. In this relationship that I had, the person who was absolutely not an empath, they said to me, I'm not feeling my feelings at you. And I was like, but you are. They're so loud. I can hear them all. I can feel them all. And you won't ever acknowledge what's going on with you. And they said, well, that's not my experience. I don't know how to even quiet my feelings at you. I don't know how to do anything about that. It's not my job to sort of manage my emotions just because you can feel them. Now, obviously that relationship did not work out. And that's because for me, it's challenging to be with somebody who doesn't understand this part of me, or who cannot get on board with maybe believing or knowing or getting that this is a real thing and that this is what's happening. So if you find yourself in a relationship with somebody who doesn't get this part of you, your job is to try to explain. Try to explain to them, try to explain to yourself, what is it that's going on? And the answer is like, I'm really hyper aware of emotions and feelings and even maybe thoughts that are circulating in the room. And then you can move on from there. I want you to know that it is not your fault that you are this way, but it is your job to learn to work with it. But I also want you to know that just because you are aware of the experience that people around you are having doesn't mean that it's your job to do anything about it. So let's talk about this a little bit more, okay? If you go to like a gas station, let's say you're going to put gas in your car and you run in to pay, and the cashier at the register is like in some type of mood. You as an empath have two choices. You can either be unaware and just like absorb their mood, absorb their energy, and take it with you back to your car. And now when you get back in, your passenger is expecting you to be as pleasant as you were before you went and paid for your gas. And they're surprised when you show up and you're like, now you're in this dark storm cloud. You yourself might not even realize what had happened to you. You yourself might not even know that you went in, you interacted with someone operating at a different vibrational plane, and they brought you into their energy field. So that's not your fault that that happened, but you are the one responsible for recognizing, oh, okay, whoops, my energy changed. What happened? I use the phrase trace it back. So trace your steps backwards to figure out, where did I pick up someone else's mood, or where did I pick up someone else's energy, and then work with it. Go, oh, okay, I don't think this actually belongs to me. I don't think that my mood is mine. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. So that might be an unfamiliar sentence to you, like me saying, this isn't my mood. You are able to, and often you are, collecting other people's moods, other people's thoughts, other people's feelings, and sort of they're attaching themselves to you as an empath, and you're wearing them as if they are your own. This is not an exciting way to live, because you are kind of reactive to the world. You're at the mercy of everybody and everything around you. And that is not really how anybody wants to go about their day, because you're constantly feeling like you're just fending off the world when that's your experience, versus being in control of what your own energy field is. So I want to say you can have this happen. You can have people's moods be coming in, and you don't have to take them on. It just requires a certain amount of awareness. It just requires for you to say to yourself, I know that this is not my mood, and I know that I'm going to do something to just get rid of it. But if you're not aware of it, you can't do anything about it, right? So it's not your fault that you can do this, but it is your responsibility to just sort of self-evaluate, self-assess, and to say, like, what's going on with me? Oh, somebody else's mood tried to contaminate my energy field. Not going to happen today. It helps maybe if you can visualize that you have a bubble around you at all times, and like your bubble is made up of all your favorite colors. So like mine's probably like purples and greens and pretty golds and stuff like that. Whatever yours is, it's your favorite colors, and this bubble is full of just your energy field, and it's beautiful. When you interact with someone who's in a bad place, their colors kind of come in and can contaminate your auric field. And your job is to just go, oh, those don't belong here, and to get rid of them. The other thing I want you to know, though, also, is that you are not responsible for fixing or saving or changing anybody else's mood. This is such a big one for empaths. Empaths struggle with this so much. One of the reasons that we struggle with this is because there's such a huge trauma link between being an empath and like your upbringing. If you've come up in any amount of trauma, emotional abuse or physical abuse or verbal abuse of any kind, chances are you are an empath. This is because our empathic gifts get activated in a major way at a young age, because we are constantly on the lookout for what is the energy around me, because it's not a safe environment. So if you have come up in an unsafe environment, you have finally honed skills to understand what's going on around me at all times. And then as a child in that environment, your job was to go, and how can I fix it? This is obviously a dysfunctional situation that nobody should be in. But if you find that you're relating to what I'm saying, and that you are an expert in reading the energy of a room and sort of fixing it back to neutral so that it's a safer space, chances are you're like a super empath. And I want you to know that about yourself, because I want to free you of something. I want to free you of the persistent thought that it is your job or your responsibility to reset the energy of a space or of a person. It's not. It's not your job. It's not your responsibility. As a child, whomever was in charge of you or whomever you were around that emanated that energy towards you, they said to you, it's your job to fix me. All of my mood is your fault. That was a lie, but that's what they said, and it's your job to therefore fix it. That was a lie, and that's what they said too. It's not your job to fix it anymore. You are an adult. Everybody is responsible for their own energy field. So if you go into a space and you are aware that someone's in a mood or someone's upset or something's going on within a person, your impulse is going to be to try to fix or resolve it for them. That is not your job anymore. First and foremost, your job is to fix and resolve your own energy field. It's to say to yourself, oh man, I'm feeling something I don't really like. What am I going to do about it? Your default conditioning might be, I'm going to get involved and try to fix it, change it, resolve it, save it. but that's not necessarily healthy for you. What instead I'd like you to do is to say to yourself, okay, I'm aware of this energy field. What am I going to do now for myself? And for yourself, you're going to shield yourself, you're going to protect yourself, you're going to either remove yourself or do whatever you need to do to distance yourself from a situation that's not about you and that doesn't need for you to step in and to deplete your own resources to try to get involved in what can only really be called probably drama on somebody else's behalf. Now, of course, you can decide and assess within yourself, like, is this person somebody that I want to get involved with their whole situation, or that I want to devote the time and energy into going into and trying to work with this topic? And that's fine, that's valid. But again, I want you to do that from a place of choice and not from a place of obligation or responsibility, not from a place of just being reactive or reverting to your default conditioned behavior from an unsafe past that you might have had. So as an empath, there's a huge trauma link, and that trauma link can keep you in a cycle that you don't want to be in as a healed adult, wherein you're saying to yourself, somebody's having an emotion, I have to fix it. I want to free you from that thought process. It is not your job to fix anybody else's experience. This is a place where a lot of self-work will come up for you if you're working on understanding yourself as an empath, because it's going to be very difficult for you. I had a woman in a class once full out argue and cry with me about this exact topic. She said, it's too hard for me to not go in and fix somebody else's problems if I'm aware of them. Isn't that the whole reason that I'm able to be aware of them? And I said, no, it's not your job. It's their job. Nobody can fix anybody else's feelings. All you can ever do is say, I'm here for you if you want support while you fix your situation. I will be a shoulder for you to lean on or an ear to listen, but I can't fix your problems for you. There's a huge difference between diving in to resolve the emotions and standing still next to someone and holding the space for them. And as an empath, you can be aware of something without getting very, very involved in it. Because when you get very, very involved, you're depleting your own energy resources. You're draining yourself of your own joy, of your own ability to have compassion for yourself even, or for others in your field. You're draining yourself by giving all of your energy away. And that's why being an empath can be very difficult for people and very challenging. And so I just want to empower you to know that you're allowed to shield yourself. And so one quick way that you can shield yourself is literally through visualization. If you believe in, angels or your spirit guides or anything like that, you can go ahead and ask them to help you with this. If you don't feel like you have a good communication with them, you can just do this yourself. But all you have to do is just literally close your eyes and imagine that you are in a shield, you are in a bubble, a golden bubble, a beautiful bubble of white light or iridescent light of some kind or another, and that you have set the rules for this bubble that goes around you. And the rules say, nothing negative or harmful or lower vibrational may enter or penetrate this energy field around me. I say that nothing that's going to change my mood or bring me down or harm me in any way is allowed into my energy field. Blessed be, and so it is so. So there's a reason why I have you say it like that. First, I want you to acknowledge that you have a shield around you and that you are in charge of your energy field. Second, I want you to set the rules for what energy is allowed in and what energy is not allowed in. And this makes it really clear what your intentions are. Use as few words as possible, because the more words you use, the more room there is for interpretation for what kinds of energies can kind of sneak their way in. But don't overthink it too much. Just say what you're trying to say and feel it as you're saying it. Feel the feeling of what energy is allowed into your bubble and feel the feeling of what energy is not allowed into your bubble. And it helps to kind of do a motion like a pushing motion or a cutting motion or something like that to say, this is not allowed in here. I'm casting it out. Whenever you encounter that energy out in the world, just kind of like flick it away from you if you feel like you can do that. And then at the end, when you say blessed be, or so it is so, or amen, or whatever words feel good to you, you're doing that because you're claiming the power and you're affirming it and you're anchoring it down. And that's like a super witchcraft thing that I want you to get in the habit of doing, because a witch knows her power. She knows that she's allowed to claim the energy around her. She knows she's allowed to say what it's going to be and how it's going to act. And she knows that she's allowed to say, this is what's going to happen because I said so. And that's basically what you're saying when you're saying, blessed be and so it is so. You're saying, because I said so, the energy is going to listen to me. So that's kind of basically the foundation of what I want you to understand for when you're an empath. It's just to summarize, I want you to understand that this is a real thing that you're experiencing. You are feeling the feelings of others. You are picking up on energy of places and objects. It's definitely valid. Allow yourself to know it's valid, to claim it for yourself, and to believe yourself, and then to work to protect yourself and take care of yourself thereafter. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and leave me a comment. You can find me over on Instagram at moonstone_witchery. I respond to my DMs, so you can message me there. And you can find me over on my website at moonstonewitchery.com, where we have lots of cool products available and readings with me. And I think we have a bag that might be designed for empath support, a crystal bag, and if we don't, we can go ahead and make you one if you request one. So you can find me lots of places. Please subscribe to this video and share if you liked it, and I thank you so much for watching.